Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 164, season 7, and today's date is September 20th, 2022. And thank you for joining me today. On today's program, I will talk about the Kodak Instamatic Camera. I'm sure everyone has owned one in their lives, and this is a very interesting topic. So I'll discuss a little bit about the history of it and my memories of owning this camera. Also, I will discuss the 70th anniversary of the TV series The Adventures of Superman. I will discuss its history of that as well. Also, my memories of watching the show in Chicago. And I'll do a wrap-up of some past posts from my Vanished Chicagoland page on Facebook. Okay, this will be a lot of fun. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Spray and Vac Carpet Cleaner. I remember this. And here's a commercial from 1974. So sit back and relax, enjoy. And I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
No kidding. No scrubbing?
No scrubbing. No kidding.
Come on. No scrubbing?
Spray and Vac cleans rugs with no scrubbing.
Now look, I am in no shape to scrub rugs.
Try it. Spray and Vac penetrates deep, loosens and lifts dirt. Just vacuum, and dirt's gone.
Say, it really looks clean. With no scrubbing.
Spray and Vac from Glamarine. No scrubbing.
No kidding.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Spray and Vac Carpet Cleaner. I remembered this product very well from the 70s, probably early 80s, I imagine. I don't think they make this anymore. I haven't seen hide nor hair of it in stores. But there were a lot of products like that at the time. I remember Glory. I remember the commercials for that. And of course, you know, if you live in Chicago, we had Magicus, the cleaning company. You know, we had the rug and carpet company. We had that with the kissing red lips on the expressways, those signs on the Dan Ryan and the Kennedy and the Eisenhower expressways. And they had their own carpet cleaning too. They had that. They came in a can. Also, of course, the most famous one was Bushel. Hudson 32700. That's kind of funny. So, you know, if you want your carpet clean, the best way is get a professional to do it, you know, because it's a lot of work. We did that about a few years ago. You know, someone came over and cleaned our rugs, and it looks beautiful. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I said I was going to discuss the Kodak Instamatic Camera, also the 70th anniversary of the Adventures of Superman, and also I'll discuss my past posts on Vanished Chicagoland Facebook page. First, we'll talk about Kodak Instamatic Camera. I won't go into much history of that, but because I don't want to contradict myself and also, you know, give false information to people. So I'll do what I can. So I'll say it very brief, and then I'll talk about my memories of owning the camera myself and my family. Okay, so here we go. They went on sale, the Instamatic cameras, around 1963. And the first one was sold was called the Instamatic 100. And I think my mother owned that for the first time. You know, I forgot to ask her if she still has it somewhere, but I don't think so. I think she threw it away, but it would have been kind of cool if she kept it. So I'll take a picture of that and post it on my social media accounts. And then it was followed by the 104, and then the 300, the 400, and the 700, and on and on and on. And those cameras, they were very small. And you, in the back, you load, you know, you place the film in there and then close the door. And then I think there's like a switch in the back. I'm not sure. I haven't used one in a long time. And then you just point, and shoot. Also, if you want to use a flash. This is the funny part, because when I post a couple photos yesterday on my Facebook page, they had the flash cubes, and you buy those separately at a drugstore or any store that sold them. Mostly the drugstores that were sold, at Walgreens, Osco Drugs. There was also Super X Drugs, which was right near where I used to live at Fort City Mall, and also Crestline Pharmacy right near my house, and any other places. I can't think of another place that would sell them. But also, once you take your photos, you drop them off at the drugstore, and they will develop for you, and they take about maybe couple of days, and they would give you, give you a receipt, I believe, and then when you return, you pick them up. And I remember they came in those yellow envelopes with all your photos. And you often wonder, do these people that develop the photos really look at your pictures? Probably do. And also, you can drop them off at the Photomat, that kiosk. Remember that? I discussed Photomat in a previous podcast episode. And that was very interesting, discussing that. The nearest Photomat by me in my old neighborhood was at, excuse me, 79th Street, west of Pulaski, near Bogan High School. It was in the strip mall where White Hen Pantry was. I remember that. And I used to see that in high school, even earlier than that. And there would be an employee working in there. Someone would say, someone asks a silly question. What happens if she has to go to the bathroom? There's no bathroom in there. Well, she'd probably lock up the place and go somewhere. But, sitting in that little, trap, that confined place, that's, I guess, but some people mentioned they worked there and they liked it. They really do. They get privacy. They really do. And so, cameras have changed over the years, of course. And the flash cubes, this happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to other people. When you're standing there and you're posing and someone takes a picture and the flash cube goes in your eyes, and you and you blink to get rid of that, that bright blob in front of your eyes like that. Oh, I hated that. And sometimes pictures didn't come out well. I'm not a very good photographer. Some people are wonderful. Some people stink. They just can't, they don't, you got to be talented, with that. And my mother has taken photos of me and my brothers and, my relatives throughout the years, when it was birthday parties or we went to an outing, at school, she took pictures. Some came out nice, some didn't, became fuzzy and blurry. And we have a lot of photos like that, a lot of family photos. And it's nice to go through to see those. A lot of them when I was a baby and when I was little, and my brothers, and she was wonderful in doing that. So I'm sure everyone has family photos in their photo album, or they're tucked away in a bag, stored like that. So that's kind of cool. So over the years, Instamatic, I think it stopped about in the 90s, late 90s. And of course, digital cameras came. And the bulbs, sometimes there was an Instamatic camera that came out later, and it was called the Instamatic 277-X. And the flash bulb was attached inside the camera, so you don't have to. You don't have to change it, or I don't know how that worked. I don't know. That's kind of weird, But they had built-in flash too. My first camera that I owned was not Kodak; it was a Vivitar. If you remember Vivitar, and I posted picture of that a few months ago on my social media accounts, and I still have that camera. I tried to put it, I put the batteries in, and well, you need film. Let's see if I could try it, but I don't know if there's any Vivitar film available. I don't think so. And there is, so now digital cameras came later, and then you could take your photos with your iPhone, with your cell phone now. But I like cameras better. One thing I failed to mention was when the pocket, there was the Kodak Pocket Instamatic Camera. They were smaller, they were slim, and you put it in your pocket. It was kind of cool. And I remember the commercials in the 70s. The actors Michael Landon and Dick Van Dyke advertised Kodak. But I think Michael Landon was the most famous of all. He did that throughout the 70s. So it was kind of, and Christmas time was the best. Watching those commercials, and you can watch them on YouTube. You do a search on YouTube, you can find them. Okay, right now I'm going to play a commercial for the. This was a Kodak camera with the flash cube, and this is from the 1960s. One of the earliest ones. It's kind of cool, and it's the swinging 60s. So here's a Kodak commercial with a flash cube from the 1960s. So sit back and enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
It's new. It's now. It's Flash Cube. Flash Cube? Flash Cube. Only with the newest Kodak Instamatic cameras. 4 full-power flashes in one tiny cube. Flash Cube. It's this way, man. Drop in a film. Get yourself a flash cube. Pop it on. Take 1. Take 2. Take 3. Take 4 flash pictures without changing bulbs. In color, of course. Newest Instamatic camera outfits from less than $18. Only from Kodak.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for the Kodak camera from the 1960s. The company is still around, located in Rochester, New York. That's the headquarters. And it was called the Eastman Kodak Company, or Kodak. And it's been very interesting. If you read online the history of that, the timeline, it's fascinating. How it was invented, and all through the products that they made all this time. But they're not very dominant, when it comes for the cameras, not really. And so it's very confusing. It's because there's other companies that do that as well. With the cameras, and the other famous one was Polaroid. Remember that? That's still around, I believe. Maybe I'll talk about that someday because a lot of people remember the Polaroid Swinger, or the I forgot what the other camera's called. The one that you take a picture, and the picture pops out of the camera. It was kind of cool. So I'll discuss that someday. We will see. Okay. Next up, I will talk about the 70th anniversary of The Adventures of Superman. And it's a very interesting history of the show. And I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid. I still do. And so here we go. And this premiered on September 19th, 1952, and ended April 28th, 1958. And it ran for 6 seasons, 104 episodes, and it starred George Reeves as Superman. It's also Clark Kent. And it's based on the comic book. He was Superman, but in this case, he was Clark Kent. He worked at the Daily Planet, and his famous thing is like he would duck into a phone booth and change, and he would say, "Go up, up, and away." But I don't know if he said that in the show. No, I don't think so. I think he said it in the radio. Also in the cast was it was Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, and Inspector Henderson. And first they made a film serials, and it was one was called Superman, and also the Adaman versus Superman, and I think they were condensed and then they included in the episodes. And I had the show on DVD. I haven't watched it in a long time, and so it was kind of cool to see those that serial included in the DVD. My first memories of watching the show was briefly on Channel 9, and that was syndicated on Channel 9, I believe, at first. And then reruns went, and the show was sponsored by Kellogg's. There's some commercials of George Reeves and other cast members doing, hawking the product. And then the first 2 seasons was filmed in black and white, and the rest were in color. It's kind of cool. And then when I was, then the show aired on Channel 44 WSNS TV in Chicago. And in the 70s, Channel 44 started in 1970, and they didn't syndicate a lot of shows in the beginning. They had like news all day long, and then after that, they add more programming. And I think about 72, 73, they started adding movies to the network. I discussed this previous podcast episode in full length. And then they brought the shows on, and I remember one was Get Smart, and then there was Leave It to Beaver, and other shows like that. Speed Racer. First it was in Channel 32, then it moved over to Channel 44. Oh, that was awesome. Prince Planet. I love that show. That was great. That was from Japan, that anime series. And of course, Superman. And so I watched this sometimes when I came home from school. There were a lot of TV shows that I want to watch. But, we didn't have VCRs or DVRs to record. So whatever you have, that's it. And let's suppose, back then my brothers want to watch something else and I want to watch something else. We fought about it. But that was kind of fun. But that was, I guess I was too dominant for that because I love watching TV. Okay, right now I'm going to play the promo that aired in 1978 on WSNS TV, Channel 44 in Chicago, and it's The Adventures of Superman. So sit back and enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
TV 44 brings you The Adventures of Superman for little and big Superman fans. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Sunday at 4:30, Tuesday through Friday at 7 on 44.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that was the promo, and it's like the introduction of the show, The Adventures of Superman. George Reeves, he passed away on June 16, 1959, and he was 45 years old. And when he died, they said the official finding was suicide, but a lot of people, he was murdered and a victim of an accidental shooting. There was that's still going on to this day, so we don't know what actually happened. They made they made a movie about this, and I think it starred Ben Affleck. I haven't seen it, and I want to see that because I heard it's very interesting. And he played George Reeves in the movie. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Of course, then Superman. The movies came from 1978, starring Christopher Reeve. Oh, loved him. It was wonderful. I watched this movie the first time at Fort City Cinema when it was released, and also saw the second one in 1981 at the same place. It was wonderful. He was a great Superman. God bless him. And others played later on in later movies, also on television. He's a well-known comic book character. He's not one of my favorites. I like Superman, but my favorites are Wonder Woman, Batman, and Spider-Man. But I like Superman. Also like The Flash because of his villains, Rogues Gallery, But still a fan of comic books. I have my collection. I go to conventions every year. It's a lot of fun. It really is. I look forward to movies all the time. If there's one that I'm very eager to watch, I'll go see it. I'll go watch it in the theater. That's how I am. Okay. Next up, I will talk about some past posts on my Vanished Chicagoland Facebook page, probably from last week or the week before. So here we go. Okay. The first one, I found a plastic shopping bag online and it was from Kinney's Shoes. Remember that? From the 1970s. Oh, going to a shoe store when you were little was a lot of fun. And Kinney's was one of them. I used to buy them all the time. And the one that I shopped most of the time when I was a teenager was at Fort City Mall. There was a Kinney's Shoes, and there was Baker's Shoes there. I remember that. And it was fun. When you go into a shoe store, you sit down, and then the shoe salesman would measure your foot. Remember that with that thingamajig? And sometimes when I did that, I asked him, can you bring one that's either one size small or one size bigger, but that happened to women most of the time. And, but sometimes tight shoes is not good for your feet. I know, but I had blisters and corns. It's terrible. Oh, terrible. It's a pain in the butt. So I get a little wider. My feet are wide. And Kinney's was, they don't exist anymore. They went out of business. And I remember the spokesperson was Ken Berry, the actor who was on F Troop, Carol Burnett Show, Mama's Family, and he did the little dancing in the commercials. That was kind of cool. I like that. He was a very talented man, And so it was a good shoe store. I liked it a lot. Okay. Next up, I posted an ad from the Monarch Laundry and Dry Cleaning Company. Remember that? If you live in Chicago, and they had a lot of locations in the Chicagoland area. I remember one in South Shore when I was little. I remember seeing the signs. One was on 79th Street, east of Jeffrey, and the other one, of course, 75th Street, east of Jeffrey. And I remember that. And then when me and my family moved to Roseland, there was a big, I think, a factory. Yeah, or a big laundry service. It was on West 111th Street, west of State Street. And there's a photo. I have a photo of that. And it's kind of cool to see that. And a friend of mine, his mother worked there at the time. And I think at that same place. No, I don't think she worked at that place. Well, maybe she did at that location. But then I remember it moved to, or it was a different place on West 103rd Street in Vincennes in the Beverly area, right around there. And I don't know when it went out of business. I don't know. But according to some ads in the Chicago Tribune, it merged with Magicist. I saw that for a brief time. I don't know. But I heard it was a good company. My mom used it back then. And I remember the signs Monarch. And it was the last one I saw, the neighbor was in like 95th Street. Probably what's that street? California? No, Kedzie, around there. And it was in Evergreen Park. I remember seeing that. So they were a good company. They were, and they had a drive-through. It's kind of cool. Someone asked, when you go to the drive-thru, how do you pick up your clothes? I mean, they were probably packaged or, hung like that. So you have to be very careful placing them in the back of your car. Don't put them in the trunk, they'll wrinkle. That's kind of funny. Okay, next up, I posted this photo a while back, and it was Blockbuster Videos. I think there's one still in business out in the West Coast somewhere, but they were very prominent elsewhere, especially in Chicago. The one I went to was at 87th Street and South Cicero in Hometown, Illinois, right across from it was across the street was Oak Lawn, where I talked about Corvettes in my other podcast episode. I went to that one, and I asked a question to people, my followers. When you entered a store, did you browse first, or did you knew what movies you wanted to rent? Because sometimes the movies that you wanted to rent were gone; they were sold out, and then so you had to make a second choice. And for me, when I did that, I liked to browse. It was like going to the bookstore. When Crocs and Bertanos were in business, or Borders and Barnes and Noble, which is still there, still in business. And I like to browse. It took me like hours, like not really hours, but like a long time. And there were categories. There was like, for example, comedy, drama, horror, animated, new releases. And also they sold popcorn, candy. They had, I remember the blue, they had the blue shirts and all that. And also you had a membership card. Yeah, that. Something I'll talk about Blockbuster Videos in more detail on a future podcast episode. That'd be kind of cool. And I posted this photo, and a lot of people comment they did both. They either browsed or they knew what they wanted to rent. And if there was a movie that was sold out, they didn't have it anymore, they had their second choice. Or they didn't have that one, then you would go back and browse again and watch a movie, and then rent a movie that you haven't seen in a long time. And it all came in VHS. Later on, DVDs came later. I never rented DVDs over there. Not much, but VHS, of course. That was fun. You would get, I think I remember, like, you get 3 movies for the price, for a certain price. You bring them home, and then they tell you when you can return them. It's like in a library. And also, be kind, please rewind. Remember that? That was kind of cool. Okay, next up, I will talk about, this is a photo I posted. It was the Yankee Clipper ride at Marriott's Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. Now it's Six Flags, but this was the Yankee Clipper. It was a black and white photo of that, and it was from 1980. And I think it was first... that ride became available when the park opened, I think 1976 or something like that. When I went to Great America, I never rode this ride. I never did, but I saw it. And it was they renamed it a couple times, and then it was renamed the Aquaman Splashdown, because now Six Flags, they have the DC Comics theme there, from what I saw on Channel 9. And a certain person described that, and we all know who that is. And it was kind of cool. So it looked like I wish I rode this ride. It looked like fun, and but I heard it's closed now. The Aquaman Splashdown. I don't know why. Who knows? And I haven't been to Six Flags since 1998. I rode the Demon roller coaster. And before that, I rode the Demon in 1980. So I was there. That was only rode a roller coaster twice in my life. And that was it. So that's kind of nice. And when I posted this photo on my social media accounts, people loved it. Oh, they loved the park back then. It was a lot of fun. It still is, but not like in the old days. Okay. See what we got next. This one was a postcard from the old Orchard Shopping Center in Skokie, Illinois. Still there. And the postcard featured the O'Connor and Goldberg shoe store. And next door was CD Peacock. And CD Peacock, I believe, is still in business, but not the shoe store. No. And this is from 1958. I believe this is when the mall opened. And it was kind of cool. I found this and I posted it. And I used it for my cover photo on my page, and people loved it. They love seeing that. Oh. And they remember, some people older than me remembered what stores were there. Marshall Fields was there. Now it's Macy's and other businesses like that. And I haven't been to Old Orchard in a long time. I used to work in that area in the early 90s. And I went there a couple times to the mall, and there was the bagel restaurant. I don't know if it's still there. And right on Skokie Boulevard, there was Great Godfrey Daniels Restaurant. Oh, I love that place. Yeah, I went there once. It was a good restaurant. Okay. Next up, we have I posted a Creature Features ad, which coincidentally, yesterday was the 52nd anniversary of the debut of Creature Features on Channel 9 in Chicago, WGN. But this ad I posted over the weekend, and it was two movies that aired on September 16, 1972. And it was The Return of the Vampire from 1943 that starred Bela Lugosi. Also, the 1935 movie The Raven that starred also Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. I've seen these movies before. They're good. They're fun to watch, and so you get a double feature of that. That's kind of cool. We still miss this show we still do, and I mentioned it on yesterday's Facebook page that I have a video of that on YouTube. I wrote a story about it on my blog, vanishedchicagoland.blog, and also a podcast episode. And I believe it was episode 50. I did that because when I put this together in 2020, I didn't have the podcast. I started the podcast in March 2021. So everything I created, the video and the story, I did that in September. I did that 2 years ago. Okay. And let's see. Let's see what else. If you heard that whistle, that's a text from my brother. Excuse me. And let's see. The other ad I posted was for Canfield's soda, and we all miss Canfield's, famous for their ginger ale, their Swiss cream soda, their Coke, root beer, honey, and orange soda, and 50/50. And I remember they called it the big ones, and I remember the liters, and they came in that. So I found this ad. This is from September 16, 1982. And so it was it's kind of cool seeing that. I love Canfield's. I miss it the most. It was a good soft drink, and some said 50/50 still around. Maybe it's not the same. I don't know, but the business was sold, and according to some sources, their sons didn't want to continue the business. That's kind of normal right now. Okay, and let's see what else we have. Here's something interesting. I posted this about a couple of days ago. It was a TV series, very obscure, and it was called The Land of Ziggy Zago, and it was hosted by a lady, Nancy Berg. And according to the history of the show, this was from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and they brought it to Chicago. And it premiered on September 10th, 1962 on WBKB, which now is WLS, Channel 7 in Chicago. And someone suggested me, can you do a podcast episode about this show? And I said, yes, I will someday. So, because I'm very intrigued by this show. I don't know much about it. I have to do some research on it. So we'll see about that. Okay. Next up, this one I posted yesterday. It is a photo of Madigan's clothing store at Yorktown Center Mall in Lombard, Illinois. And we remember Madigan's very well. And I think the first store was located on West Madison Street and South Pulaski Road on the west side of Chicago. And there was one, I think, in Ranhurst Mall in Mount Prospect, I believe. But the one I remembered was in Chicago Ridge Mall near my house. And they had some beautiful clothes. My mom shopped there, and she said they were gorgeous. And so when I posted this photo from Lombard in Yorktown Center, people went crazy. They remember the store, they remember it very well, and they loved it. And some people worked there and all that, but unfortunately went out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. I don't know the whole story, but it's too bad. But I remember the advertisements on television. It was a good clothing store, just like Charles A. Stevens. Remember that? Or Litton's, Okay, let's see what else. I think that's it. Yes, that is it. Okay. So that's a wrap up of today's show. So I hope you enjoy yourselves listening to me. So I'll do a quick recap of what I discussed. I talked about the Kodak Instamatic Camera and the 70th anniversary of The Adventures of Superman, the TV show from the 1950s, and also did a recap of all the posts I posted on this past week on Vanished Chicagoland Facebook page. Whew, that was fun. Okay, once this episode is published, the podcast that is, you can listen wherever podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast. Also be posted on my YouTube channel, Vanished Chicagoland Stories, and it would be posted on my social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter. And I will post a photo on my Instagram account, so you could check it out to let everyone know on Instagram, my followers, that it's available. So that was a good episode. I thought it was. Okay, so this is Pete Costanis, your host for Vanished Chicagoland Stories. Thank you for joining me. I had a good time talking, and I will do another podcast probably this weekend. We will see. Also, I have another podcast, TV Oblivion, the podcast. You can listen to that as well, wherever podcasts are available. I'm up to episode 17. So there, I'm having a ball with this. I really am. Okay. So bye-bye for me. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. So take care, everyone, and so long, and everyone have a good day. Bye-bye.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.